My remake wasn't perfect, but you can get all the concepts for sure. So here, I'll just show you, like, especially the drop. So that's what mine sounds like. Original. Mine. And then, like, let's see, original, mine. So,
Lord, keep me from all evil. Lord, would you keep me?
there are some differences, but I think you guys will be able to get, like, the general gist of it. I didn't think it was productive to spend a million years dialing in the exact details when we're kind of going over. What you have to keep in mind is these people aren't, like, perfectly imitating something. They're kind of just like, does this sound good? Okay, cool. Like, they're not thinking as deep about it. They do want it to, like, sound good, but they're not, like, imitating. So we're just going over, like, the general concepts and just kind of how roughly this is all put together. And I think it'll be, like, super valuable. And a lot of this stuff is because of the loops and the samples are, like, it's pretty spot on. So we did that first listen, that big picture listen, then we did another listen, kind of got into the weeds a little bit. This time around, we're going to get into, like, roughly the exact specifics. So we'll just start with the intro, because, like, the intro was very simple. So it's just this choir, and I kind of did this by ear. I knew, same rule applies. I don't know if you guys can see that well, but, like, what if I change it to that? So yeah, now you can see those notes. It's always simpler than you think. So there is, like, a little difference where yeah. So it's not exactly right, but it's like, it's just a choir from Omnisphere. Ooze. For, like, cinematic stuff, like, you're going to realize genre-wise, like, it's going to feel like this is all a bunch of random stuff, but, like, the more you study these genres, you're like, you have, like, 5 options that you could do here, in my opinion. It's like, could it be a piano? Sure. Could it be a choir? Sure. Could it be an organ? Sure. You're probably not doing guitar. You could do some sort of synth, but the synth is going to be mimicking choir, piano, or organ. So it's like, it's stuff. This stuff is like, there are rules to it, and it really helps you, like, see it simpler. And then once you start to learn the rules of, like, it's always dope when someone comes up with, like, a new style and it has its new rules. But once you learn the rules, it's like, you see it over and over, and you realize that, like, a lot of this is just, like, kind of, people are kind of, like, imitating each other or imitating their old versions of their sound. So yeah. And, like, on the chords, there's super simple triads with, like, inversions. Boom. Okay, so we go into that, and then the second section, we need that organ. There's this transition to, so it's less of a loop. This stuff happening before is, like, really important, because then it's like this section bleeds into this section, so it feels constantly evolving thing, not like 8 bars, 8 bars, 8 bars, not like a robot, because that's how a lot of people produce, because, like, the software allows you to. So when someone does it differently, it's like people appreciate it. And they feel it. They're like, how was that made? Like, I don't even understand it. And that's a good place to be in. So Moog bass right here, like, literally, this is another thing, is, like, I would highly recommend, like, learning synths. And, like, you're going to see that, like, another situation, like I was just talking about, is you're going to see with these synths that, like, there's, like, 5 to 7 synths that are used over and over, and it's always simpler than you think. So this is just a mini Moog emulator from Arturia. It's the Kanye bass. Like, Mike Dean uses it all the time with the choir. So I did these 2 organs. Let's see. Try to keep things organized here. Because like I had this one. I'm not sure if that's how it was done in the original. But I was like, that's good. It's not enough. And I remember I was talking about like the fast and the slow cabinet, the rotator. So that's fast. Hear the tremolo? It's not like that. It's like that. And then sometimes if the tone's not right, like you want it brighter, but we don't. You want more low end. So you can like figure that out. It's just kind of learning how the actual instruments work. I think I'm going to go into like some of this stuff, like if I want to keep it like valuable, like I can't go too much into the weeds, but that'll be another program or course at some point for sure. So here's organ. I want, this is a synth organ. I was like, I just felt this like, that there was more to it that I was missing. But so I'm pretty sure these are in octaves. Oh no, they're playing the same. It's just the tone of the organ. So then with the choir, you can hear it. It's like that. That's the background of everything. And then vocals straightforward, except here's dry. Here's with the reverb. Fair amount of reverb. I could probably even crank it a little more. This is like roughly the default settings too. So, and you can see it's simple. It's just looped. So it's all these simple parts that make it sound complex. Then a little different tone. I think probably has that automated, and then probably has a dropout right here. But yeah, and then like you'll notice this part, like, but instead what he does that's really smart is like he takes this part and the fill kind of takes that role, and then he just like takes it out. And then, like, it's the same concept I was talking about here, how this section bleeds into the next section. It makes it just sound more sophisticated.
Keep me from all evil. Lord, would you keep me
And this fill,
as I travel down this road?
I don't think it's perfectly right, but it's the same rhythm. Boom, 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 boom. I don't think it has that second roll, but like you could make these changes. It doesn't have to be so like it like once you understand the principles, it accomplishes the same goals. That's why you don't have to go copy people exactly. Like if you know what you're doing and you actually learn it, you can like swap out things. Obviously, I wouldn't like post this beat because it's not mine. But yeah, and then. So that section, like the star of the show. So we went in on the contrast, so I don't have to re-explain that, but it's just repeating. It's so simple. So the bass, you can see we have this section, and now the bass changes. And the other 2 elements I want to show you. So I threw this kick in there just because it wasn't punching hard enough for me, but we got on the drop. So I'll include this in the bonuses and like in the drum kits. But I was like, okay, cool. It needs a little more just hit. So I threw this like just straightforward trap kick underneath. And then I was like, it wasn't sounding like that. So it needed this other hit, this other impact. So a lot of these impacts are like 4 things stacked on each other. So that one gives it like this top end. But you can hear it like that by itself would be so weak. You know? So you need this like, that's a lot stronger. And then with this kick, It's like even extra stronger, so it just hits harder. That one though, I'm just like 100% imitating. I'm just listening. So I think that's that's it for this. And then like what Producer X is like super dope about, but if you'll pick this up quick if you study film scores and cinematic stuff, and just like even like Hans Zimmer, check out his stuff. Like he lets it breathe for the moment. Like if you want to build intensity, have a bunch of tension, just sit on one note. Like the longer it sits on this note, it gets more intense every loop, and then eventually it'll lose that effect. Like every time it feels like something's crazy, like loop one more time, and then it'll probably get like redundant. But see, now it's like losing its strength, at least for me. So then like you gotta change. All right, so now we bring in the organ from the beginning. These are all the same hits, the orchestral hits. Boom, 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 boom. Reverse 808. I think it's good though to like kind of zoom out. So now it feels like kind of we're getting into the weeds a little bit. I think, and then you'll see also that this bass line actually goes back to the same notes as these ones, but this one has like just this variation right here. But if you put them up in the same octave, it's the same progression is right here. So like all these like things that seem so individual are really not. They're all like related. So everything's simpler than you think. And then if we zoom out, so yeah, it started to feel like a lot there because all these things came in. But if you zoom out, it's like it's really just like, and then the fill and the, yeah. And then once we get to the next section, I will say the cool thing about this, and the reason the drums in the ARP is triplet timing. Triplet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't even count that fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. It's not yeah, each, so within like this there'll be 6 notes in the ARP. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so that's keep your ear out for like triplet stuff. So that's why you got to have the drum pattern a little different. And the kick, it's like this stuff has to be hitting on at least, I would say, like 8th note triplets, and then maybe like 16th note triplets on like some stuff like this. I put my grid to triplets right here. Don't think too hard about this. Just be like, you can kind of like, I almost recommend sometimes like when producing, like turn your brain off and just make it work. Because that's how the artists are listening to it. Like super simple. So it's like, does that sound good? Okay. And then like, if it doesn't sound good, could I make it sound better? Okay. Would it be better on this one? And just like, yeah, don't think about it too much. The clap is on. So this is an interesting thing as far as the timing on this one. Like I said, it's going to seem complicated. Don't overthink it. But it's like, this is like standard timing, like 4/4 right here. But it's like, because because that loops so fast, you can like chop it into 4/4. So it kept the traditional pop timing, but it switched. So by the way, and that's another, so we're going from 4/4 timing to we're going from 4/4 timing, let's see, yeah, right here, to triplet. That's why that another example of contrast. Like this is a very well done by Producer X. So, and then the drums are like 808, just you can see the little dots here. Hopefully the resolution's good enough. Just follows the kick. You can hear it for sure. This is like a classic. I'll show you where each drum kick, because like I pretty much nailed the drums on this. I'm not gonna lie. my mix might be a little different, and my kick and my 808 might be different. But you can't even hear it. Like, it doesn't matter. You probably can, but like your artist can't hear it. Yeah, on the drop alone, they'd probably have a hard time figuring out which one. I will say the 808 might be different, but it's not important. So, yeah, and I'll show you where. Show in browser. Okay, where'd I get this one? I got this one from a foreign tech, paid in full. Reality, these are all probably BWB drums. I think this is a Pierre Bourne clap. Also in foreign tech, because like all these drum kits, like I know these people aren't watching this, so all these drum kits they're just recycled BWB stuff, like drum machine. Everyone uses the same thing. They EQ it slightly different. They pitch it. They call it their own. So yeah, literally just following that trip 8-note triplet, which sounds super dope. Boom, 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 boom. Then there's this tap snare that just like classic hip hop. It just adds a little extra bounce to it. And then the hats, let's see. This was just a splice loop. I think I was like, does it sound similar? I know it had a lot of triplet stuff, and it was actually 130, and then yeah, I put it to like 86. I just warped it to the triplet grid, and then like I know I had pitch stuff, so like I think these are like pitch down 7, like these rolls like. Because let's see, if you check out the grid, 1/8 triplet, you can see that they're like. Kind of like the Migos rapping. Da, 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 da. So like, yeah, that triplet sounds like a unique thing, but it's like I said, it's so fast that like the 8-note triplet like works every even half bar. Yeah, so every bar it loops perfectly. So you can still do 4/4, but like it's subdivided by triplets. Try not to think about that too much. It doesn't really matter. Just be like, can I structure it normal? That's all. And then the ARP. One thing about the ARP though, so just a loop on this section. This is a 1/5. Back to the root. And then it either shifts up 5 or down 5, like semitones. And it's like the 1/5 and the 1/4 are very similar. So once again, that's like a music theory thing. Like a C minor to a G minor chord would be like a 1/5. Try not to think too deep about it, whether it's a 1/5 or a 1/4. It's like basically, let's say you're in C minor, you have C minor, F minor, or G minor that you could bounce back and forth from, and it's gonna be this vibe, and you can just do variations of it. A lot of this is like in the sound selection and the melody. So I think this. I don't know if there's any difference at all between these two, and if there is, it's very subtle. So let's go on to this part. Just a new bass line. Now you're just removing, so you remove the kick and the bass, the kick and the 808. Add the bass line. Keep the hats going. I replaced it with a different rise vocal. It's the same effect. It's not exactly. Like I said, I was gonna spend like 2 hours finding this little part. But it's like you see the contrast. It's just the silence, like reverse 808 right there. You see how that looks, and you see like his is shorter. I don't know, same effect. All I do for that is I took this, I bounced it, like just took one 808 sound. That's all it is. Now we're back to that section. So I may have missed the one kick variation, but like I don't know. that choir comes back in, but to be real, I'm not sure. Like, it might be half-timed. So that's another like variation right there, is like, and then what might be happening, and this we'll just do this as like an example, is like he might on the second half he might be having it like, so this is the automation on the, and this is just to show you of like the thought process of like high retention music, of like, this is now a new evolving element. I did it backwards. Let's try that one more time. Just the thought process behind this whole thing is like, yeah, you could go like this, and then we're gonna want it to like, yeah, drop off faster. So now as we listen, so the mix on the halftime, so it's going to start dark and it's going to get, my bad, I just delete all the automation. Okay, there we go. So this is just like another way to, it's just like, this stuff doesn't happen fast. Like, he's not like, like, and just automatically getting this like to the finish line. It's probably like, he made the beat, he made the loop, and he's like, okay, how can I evolve it? Okay, how can I make it more interesting? Oh, like, this is a moment. Okay, it feels stale here. What can I do? What little trick can I do to make it like high retention? Like, you got to be grinding. Like, it's like you might have a beat posted every like 2 or 3 days, but it's like each beat is like you're working on that beat like basically the whole time in those 2 or 3 days. It's not like, no, this happens fast, especially with this many details. And then this is just the outro. You can see this was the longest bass hold on the root note of the whole thing. Choir comes back in. Actually, I think the organ came back in. There it is. And then like a cool delay thing. So like that's the amount of detail he's going into, which is very impressive. It's like people be like, oh, it doesn't matter. Most people don't listen. It's like, yeah, but that attitude led to all these, like, it all adds up to like one cohesive like whole thing that's incredible. You could post this beat on anyone's channel. You could post this beat on a 0 subscriber channel. I believe it's getting 100,000 views, if not more. And then it's like the correct strategy after that would be like, okay, how do you make another one of these cinematic evolving ones? And how do you brand it the same? And how do you continue to do it? So it's like, if you dropped 6 of these in your first month of producing, like on YouTube, or first month of a channel, the channel's blowing up. This is why I prefer this style of music, especially for YouTube, is that if you play the game this way, it's not chance, not luck. And these sell like very well. So you can see all that goes into it, and it works. It keeps people hooked. How would someone compete with this if their only beat is like an intro into that? Like if you just did this loop, if you just did this for like 8 bars, which is what a lot of people do. If you had the intro be like this is like your average trap producer. And then they do that beat. How on earth are you supposed to compete on YouTube when someone's doing all this? You can't. someone sent me that, I'd be like, the beat's hard. It's just not going to work on YouTube. And it would make sales if someone hears it, but YouTube's not going to recommend it because it's not going to have the type of watch time and retention that this music does. So yeah, I mean, I think that's like, I think we covered everything. And then the really cool thing is that there's a lot of ways to do this. So Producer X did this with splice loops and synths and arrangement, splice loops and synths, but you can also do this with samples. And I'm going to show you in our next example, a producer who did this in a very cool way, all based off samples. So if you can't program synths, if you don't know the effects for all this, that's fine. You can use samples in the same way to accomplish the same goal. So that's what we're going to get into in the second breakdown. So hope this is valuable. I would have loved this like starting out, and I'm going to have the project file and I'm going to have the stems and the individual sounds all for you to be able to download. So yeah, let's get into the next one.